Hi Hammers fans, it's been a week and a half or so since I've had anything to say, although I've had lots to say, but just busy consoling myself given our two wonderful results lately. Liverpool, I wasn't too surprised by that. I was convinced we would not do very well. I think if you listen to the last one, Liverpool have been pretty darn good right now. And you know what, when you're up against some of those players, Salah, Firmino, Van Dijk, and all of the rest of them. I mean, Salah, he's just brilliant, isn't he? He was a joy to watch, although it hurt. I think we were a little unlucky. We let an early goal in, and after that it was like, the floodgates opened, the shoulders went down. It all came to bits, but didn't expect too much. What does get me upset is I just dislike Liverpool. I always have disliked Liverpool. It's like Manchester United. The arrogance of the fans is what gets me, and the arrogance of the media. Both those teams are media darlings, and whenever your team comes out, or particularly at Anfield, you barely ever get a look in at them. It's all about Liverpool, gone. At least Stevie G's gone, because when he was there, it was all about Stevie G, and you barely knew who else was on Liverpool's team. My antithesis towards them has nothing to do really with the FA Cup loss, the jammy FA Cup loss in 2006, when Gerrard mishit his cross-come shot. I'm not even going to legitimize it with the word shot. It wasn't, but the jammy bugger put it in the net, and little did we know that 2 minutes from the end that we were actually going to lose that one. That was pretty painful, and no, I disliked them long before that, but that didn't help their cause in my eyes. And then the media darlings, as I said, the cop, you'll never walk alone. Well, actually, they do walk alone quite a bit, especially when they lose. If you listen to any of the 505, is it 505 phone-ins? 606. The first complainers are the Liverpool fans. They have this entitlement. God knows where they get it from, because they've won dick all in such a long time, really. Certainly not the league. But nevertheless, they certainly feel entitled. We seem to make up the numbers. Any other team seems to make up the numbers, and so you can't really pick holes in our performance there. Apart from last season, when we did do something for a while. We hadn't done for 16 years or something. I don't know what it was. A long time. You can't pick holes in that, really. I think we did turn up for a while. We played well, but it was hard to contain them. They are a very attacking side. And we have issues in our defence. We have issues in our midfield. And this was definitely clear in Swansea. But before we go to discuss Swansea, let's just talk about how really our board really galvanised the Swansea performance against us. They gave them all sorts of ammunition, and they left us sort of with our shorts down by our ankles. And how did they do that? Well, let's start off with the African comments, right? Who was the most pro-African, always smiley, always upbeat, but very pro-African player? Well, it was Ayew himself, in my opinion. He was a very pro-African player. I was sad to see him go, as I said. I don't think we ever got the best out of him. And guess what? I think that was proven against Swansea, because he and his brother were really the catalysts for that comeback. I mean, I have never seen Ayew so pumped up. He was so pumped up. I mean, he was willing to take a pop at our youngster, Rice there. Bit out of order there, I think. But anyway, I wasn't confident of a win against them, and I was hopeful of a draw. But given their form, I mean, barring their second team performance in the Cup earlier in the week, they've been on form since that new manager's been in there. Add to that the impetus given to him by our board. Number one, what do? We get his dander up by we're not going to buy Africans. He decides he wants to leave. Maybe it was him before the play, but I'm sure that comment really galvanized it for him. He left, and close in on the horizon, a month or so after he's there, just enough to bed in, get things going, get the warmth from the new manager. And who's coming? It's West Ham. And they've just sold Fonte. They have a defensive crisis. The average age of their back line is something astronomical. And we didn't buy Alfie Mawson. So, they've got Alfie Mawson. We don't. We don't even have Fonte when Reed goes down. Well, You know, lots to go on there. We could complain, I suppose. But really what it was the players. They were awful. And why were they awful? One, our back line. We don't seem to be able to play out from that back line. Whenever someone comes at us, we hoof it. It then becomes a 50-50 ball, and Swansea were winning every single 50-50 ball, particularly because our midfield was awful. Why was it awful? Coyote, where were you? You were back a few games there. You went back into headless chicken mode. I don't know what it is, but you seem to have lost the plot. And it really is lost the plot. If there was a game plan, I couldn't tell what it was from watching you. I think that, you know, our skipper, Noble, did as best he could. And I've said on many occasions, he is the heart and soul of the team, but he shouldn't always be starting. I think we need someone else. Going back to Liverpool, Lanzini was started after God knows how many weeks out with an injury. I do not think that was a good decision for Moyes. I'm very pro Moyes, but yeah, I don't think that was a good decision. I don't think you start anyone who's been out of the team for that long. You don't bring them straight back in. One, it gives them an ego the size of God knows what, and might give them ideas about moving on because they're good enough to come right back into this team straight away. And two, they're not match fit. It takes 5 matches for a player to get match fit, and after a long injury, they should be on the bench for 2 to 3 games. Not started in each of the games, brought on for those first 2 or 3 games in the 65th minute or so, if necessary, but they should be on the bench. And I don't know why Lanzini started at Swansea, because really he looked ineffective. He's not the Lanzini we know yet. So, you know, start Mario or start someone else, because that's the caliber he's at right now. And the other thing is why Antonio wasn't started, I don't know. Antonio played well, I thought, in the left wing 2 games ago for 65 minutes. And, he's doing the right thing with Antonio. He's keeping him on the bench, but I think for the wrong reasons. He's keeping on the bench because he can't see where to play him, or how he fits, or Lanzini's preferred. But keeping on the bench, he's coming back from a long injury. I think he's ready to start starting now, and I think he's ready to start starting on the left wing. I know he doesn't want to be there, but I think he would have been a lot more effective than our aged ex-Man U wing-back, don't you? Anyway, the players, the attitude, it was as if we turned up expecting to win it, and Swansea turned up willing to work for it. They outworked us. Every 50-50 ball went their way, and we didn't seem to have a clue about what to do. We carried on either hoofing it up into the middle, where their centre-backs got it every time, passed it quickly to their midfield, and off they went straight at us. And if there's one thing our back line doesn't like, in fact, there's one thing our whole team doesn't like, it's being set upon by terriers. And we were set upon by terriers. We were given no time, passes were going astray, the constant horseshoe from side to side, the lack of creativity. And then it was either hoof it up the middle and give it back to them, or try to go down the sides, and they were well drilled for that. They had 2 men on Arnautovic. They were very, very well drilled. Anyway, Antonio came on for the second half, and for about 3 minutes there, we looked good. And that's how we should have started, I thought. Unfortunately, the ball was in our net again so quickly, and that was pretty well lights out. That was a big game to lose. Don't care about the 3 points against Liverpool. We were going to lose that all day long. We lost 6 against Swansea. We can't do that. And I'm really quite worried. We have Burnley, and they are a good team. They never say die. I watched them last week, and they got a goal back. They never say die. All the teams in and around us in the division, the lower half of the Premier League, the bottom 7, bottom 8, all of them, except for us apparently, are capable of winning on their day against the big teams. And nothing's settled. I don't care what anyone says. 40 points, please. And we need the win. We are in dire situations. We're in a dire situation. I'm so glad we're out of the cup. We have all sorts of injuries in the back line, an aged back line at best, a hole in our midfield. And if we make it through this campaign and don't go down, we need massive rebuilding, particularly in the defence and the midfield. We still have no one in the heart and soul of midfield who can direct, pull strings and move that ball around. João Mario's pretty good. But I don't think he's the answer. Keep him? Sure. Creative. Great. Good backup or adjunct to Lanzini. But we need someone who is physical, strong, fast. We need to spend money. Just saw the accounts from West Ham. Yeah, we made a profit. We haven't bought anybody. Not of note. We made a profit, and a lot of that profit came from selling a ground, television revenue, and not selling people. Nothing wrong with the television revenue. I do believe in moving on. Don't think we've got enough for Upton Park. Don't think that the fans have got what they want quite yet at the new ground. Heard that we were given the option. Do you want, 100 million for the ground, or do you want 100 million for players? Both. Sometimes when you buy a club, you actually have to put some of your own money into it. And really, while you are the saviours of the club 8 years ago, Messrs. Gold and Sullivan, you are not putting your own money into it. And I think that if the club turnover isn't enough to buy some of those bigger players, then you're going to have to inject some personal cash. You actually have to put something on the line, like fans do with season tickets. Like fans do travelling there every week. Like fans do going to Swansea in the snow and watching a terrible performance. And I don't condone the horrible scenes outside against Mr. Gold at all. I can understand the frustration, though. I can certainly understand that. But I don't condone or agree with that. I don't even think Mr. Gold is anything more than part owner with very little input. And, he tries to keep an upbeat, personable attitude. He's at least he's not letting the cat out of the bag anymore about targets we're going for. He does try to communicate news. But I do think that more personal money, if we can't justify from the accounts of the club buying players, then money has to be put in by owners. That's why you're owners. It comes with a responsibility as well as a right. And we need rebuilding badly. If somehow we make it out, and it's going to be squeaky bum time now, but if somehow we make it out of the mess we're in, two things. One, keep the manager we've got because his head's screwed on right. Is not perfect, but his head's screwed on right, and it's about the only creditable thing we have left at the club right now. And two, please start paying the money you need to pay to get good players. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Come on, you Irons, and my fingers and everything are crossed for our next match. We need those points.